Hello, my name is Teacher Matthew. So, if you're watching this video, you might be looking into teaching with VIPKid, and you're probably asking yourself, what can I reasonably make with VIPKid, especially in a world where COVID is a thing. It hit America March of 2020 last year, and it may have changed teaching to some extent as we know it. There was a flood of brick and mortar teachers who wanted to start teaching online with groups like OutSchool and VIPKid, and a lot of VIPKid teachers said it was saturated and there weren't the numbers that they wanted. If you look at other VIPKid Pay videos on YouTube, you're probably looking at things from around 2016 to 2018 or so, when things were easier and better and COVID wasn't a thing and everyone wasn't trying to get an online teaching job. So I'm going to give you the numbers that I made in my first year from August of 2020 to July of 2021 that we just wrapped up. I'm going to show you, 1, what I made in that year. 2, I'm going to give you a breakdown month by month of why my numbers what they were and how that related to me in my life. 3, I'm going to give you what I think is a reasonable projection of what I could or should make from August of 2021 through July of 2022, given that I'm a little bit more seasoned and have a little bit more of a student base, know how the whole shebang works and all of that. And 4, I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks and things that I wish I had known if I were a new teacher getting into the game. And before I give you those numbers, I want to put this out there. A lot of the VIPKid teaching faces that you're going to see on YouTube are the people in orange. Maybe they are or are not sponsored by VIPKid, but in one sense or another, they've cracked the code. Some of the numbers and figures that I've seen are just not realistic. And I'm just a 9-to-5 guy. I'm a dad with 4 kids, and so I'm giving you my numbers. I worked hard, I worked aggressively, and I hope that my numbers are a little bit more of a realistic projection for the person who comes into VIPKid with 0 experience and a lot of expectation. And maybe they're not the gilded numbers that you're going to see elsewhere on YouTube, but maybe it'll give you a little bit more of a fair or realistic figure. So here we go, let's get into it. Alright, so with my first year at VIPKid, the magic numbers from August of 2020 through the end of July 2021, my total gross pay was $18,766.15. Now again, that is gross. You are a contractor, which means it's up to you to do all your own taxes. Uncle Sam shaved his cut off the top of my check, but I will say, although I don't have those numbers in front of me, it was a lot less than I was expecting, having not had any taxes taken out of my paycheck for the entire tax season when I filed January of 2021. So in that year, I taught a total of 1,953 classes, averaging out to $19.21 per hour, averaging out to $1,563.84 per month. All right, so part 2, I'm going to give you a month-by-month play-by-play of the numbers that I brought in. You'll be able to see the figures grow, and you'll get a more accurate estimation for why those numbers came out the way that they did. So I'm going to start in August. All right, so part 3. Now that I have a student base, now that I've been doing this for a year, now that my incentives are higher because of the total number of classes that I've taught and the tier system of how VIPKid gives you incentives per class based on your tenure with the company, I want to try to give a projection for what I think I could bring in if I were teaching from August of 2021 through July of 2022. I'm going to get my calculator out here. Let's just assume that we're only talking about a 4 pay period month. It will vary, of course, but just to give you a more accurate figure, a more baseline figure, we got 4 Fridays, 4 pay periods. Let's assume that you have a good incentive amount every month. I'm gonna say $1,000 for your first week, and let's say $485 for the other 3 weeks. So $485 for those 3 weeks equals $1,455 plus $1,000 for the good week with your incentives on it means $2,455 a month on average. By 12 months for the whole year, I'm projecting $29,460. Again, that is gross before taxes. But I will also say this, in that time, I will have taught enough classes that I will have advanced to higher tiers and will be receiving more incentives per class. But you can see that's more than a $10,000 increase from my first year if I kept the same amount of bookings and had similar sorts of figures. But there will be time off, Christmas, time with family every now and then. But that's a projection of what you could make. Next part. Forgot what number I was on. I think this is part 4. Let's get real about some things that I learned with VIPKid. I don't know what kind of work you're doing now, but you may have heard your bosses say, it's a numbers game. The more you push, the more results you get. Well, I will fairly and honestly say that that's the way it works with VIPKid. It really and truly is. You open more slots, you get more bookings, you teach more classes, you get paid more money. And I'll be upfront about this too. I'm a native English speaker. I've been speaking English as long as I've been speaking, and I've been reading and writing since the first grade or whatever. And so the actual teaching part is very easy. The system, how the teaching program and platform works, it's easy to use, and it's not something that you need to be nervous about. I was kind of a nervous person, but I wish that I had jumped right in, opened as many slots as I could open, and just started teaching and started making money. I thought, what if I'm not prepared for class? What if I haven't seen these slides? What if I don't know what to teach the students? Well, to be 100% honest with you, I speak English, and I'm not a terrible teacher, and it's easy enough that I don't really have to prepare for class. I turn on my camera when it's time to go, having never seen these slides before, and I just teach the students. Most of the slides are pretty self-explanatory, and even if you're not doing exactly what the slide tells you to do, you can still see what's on the screen, click around, circle some stuff, and teach English to the students. And as you teach more and more on the platform, you're going to start to see the same lessons and the same slides enough that you will learn simply by experience what to teach on what slides. And you'll even get into a shtick or a sort of thing that you say on each slide, a certain joke that you tell on each slide, and just makes it fun and easy. So the work itself is very easy. And for what it is, that there's no minimum number of courses and that I can open as many slots as I want. I can take as much time off as I want, have a vacation wherever I want, as long as I haven't already booked a class first. It's very, very advantageous. I wake up, I teach literally in my closet. I don't, I throw some cold water on my face. I don't even have to brush my teeth. And when I'm done teaching, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. I'm dead tired, but I go back to sleep if I want to. Then I have the rest of the day to clean house, homeschool my kids if I needed to, pay the bills, run an errand, get the oil changed, and life is pretty decent. Now my wife is working as well, she's a nurse, but for what the job is, if you're fresh out of college and you're eager and you want to work for it, it is great pay for what the work is and the freedom that you have in that. And there's no argument there. But there is a challenge and a downside that comes to it. Number one, the time zones. I have to pause and be stone cold. The time zones are brutal. To make the money that I've made and to bring in what I consider the good VIPKid money, I'm waking up at 1:30, 1:40 in the morning.
1:30 in the morning.
So that I can start teaching from 2 a.m. Sometimes it feels like 6 straight hours of delirium in the closet to teach from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then crash almost immediately afterwards. I'm introverted, I'm super introverted, and I'm kind of a homebody anyways. So that really, really works for me, that I can go back to sleep, wake up, wash the dishes, pay the bills, and live a home life during the day because I'm essentially working nights. But if you're very extroverted, if you like to go out, if you have a big social life, this is going to be an even greater challenge on top of the fact that you're working a really weird and crazy nighttime schedule. If I put my kids in the bed at 8, and if I go to bed even by 9, that's 4-ish hours of sleep that I'm getting a night. And even if you got to bed by 7:30, that's still only 6-ish hours of sleep, depending on how long it takes you to fall asleep, if you have to wake up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, blah, blah, blah. And so the hours are challenging. The hours are weird. And if you have a social life, it'll kill you. So pros and cons that you'll have to consider if this is what you want to do. And final part, things that I wish I had known, or things that I would realistically tell myself or the new person who's looking to teach with VIPKid. Open as many slots as you can from the start. Don't be nervous and say, what if I bite off more than I can chew? You're a native English speaker. It's not difficult to teach. Jump in there and do it. And don't be afraid. I'm a very worrisome person, and I wish that I had just done that, because more classes equals more bookings equals more pay. And not only that, but once you first start teaching with VIPKid, their teaching algorithm puts a brand new teacher for the first week or two at the very top of the list, so that parents and students are going to see your face first. It's how you kind of get in the game and make a name for yourself. And so again, more classes right then and there means you're getting the best start that you can get, and you'll want it, and it would have been worth it to me to have gotten that. Number 2, and a lot of the YouTube VIPKid YouTubers say this, and it is true. Make your video look good. Every teacher has a "Hi, this is me" introduction video that a parent can watch when they're scoping out a teacher for their kids. Now, I was trying to jump in there as quickly as I could and just start teaching, and so my first video was kind of basic, kind of blurry, short, not fantastic. I watched a couple videos of other YouTubers talking about how to beef up your video. I made a second video, much more proud of it, and as soon as VIPKid accepted the video and put it onto their website, I started getting more bookings. I really and truly did. It's not a shell game. Take the time on the front end before you start teaching and make your video look good. And final tip, it's just kind of a reality check. I'm a nuts and bolts individual. Here is a breakdown of their tier system, of how incentives work per class. You get incentives at the end of each month. It's based on A, the total number of classes that you have taught in that month, and B, the total number of classes that you have taught since you've started with VIPKid, period. Now, I thought I got pretty aggressive towards October, November about the total number of slots that I opened. And so what that means is, in the first year, in 1 year of teaching with VIPKid, I taught enough classes to where now I am currently working on tier 6. So if I were to stay with the company for another year, certainly if I were to stay on for another 2 years, not sure what the future holds, but feel like in that time, I would definitely be able to reach the 10th tier. So don't let it be daunting to you. It's a lot more reasonable than it might seem when you're first starting to climb that mountain. But on the other end of things, the reality check for me is no matter how aggressive you get, the human body can only stay up so late and can only get 3-4 hours of sleep a night and can only open up so many bookings and can only get paid so much before you reach your maximum teaching point. I have read some articles on YouTube where people say maybe because of their time zone or because of their aggressiveness or because sometimes your base pay does vary, that they're able to do $5,000 a month every single month. I've seen $4,000 a month every single month. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying that I've watched some YouTubers give the hypothetical figures of how to reach that amount, though I'm not sure that they're actually able to produce those numbers. I don't want to make excuses. I think a lot of teachers that get into games like this, maybe especially VIPKid, don't do as well as they want to do, and they do kind of make excuses and go, but those are the professional VIPKidders. Those numbers aren't realistic. And honestly, that's why I wanted to make this video, because I did want to work aggressively to see what I could do, but I also wanted to give an important counterpoint compared to the YouTubers in the orange shirts who seem to have either cracked some code or maybe aren't giving the most honest numbers. I don't know. If they are, fantastic. Listen to them and do what they do and make those numbers. But this is what I made in my first year of VIPKid. Please tell me what you think in the comments below, or let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.